fuck. I fucked that one up. You're gonna have to cut that part out, Rhino.
I'm leaving that in.
Oh, great.
Nope.
It's the best blooper of them all. Just opener. Perfect. Okay. Underground Noise Webzine is back again with webisode number 131. Rhino being the co-host, Al being your host. We're your boys in underground metal, keeping it alive, keeping all metal alive for that fucking matter, and hard rock and any other genre that's in the music industry that we can talk to. We're always supporting our heroes in metal. Today, we're talking with Colin Downer, who was formerly in the band called Basilisk. Welcome, Colin. It's good to have you on our show. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much. I'm not too bad, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're most welcome. The first question I'm going to throw at you is this question. Who came up with the
Okay.
band Basilisk? And also, why did you choose that name?
Okay. So what happened was I was obviously living in the Philippines. We were trying to come up with a name for this, and I was listening to the music that our guitar player was writing. We were actually practicing on the on his porch, as a matter of fact, with these little janky like 15-watt amps, right? And then I'm listening to the music and I'm like, okay, this kind of reminds me of Harry Potter a little bit. And then all of a sudden, and I'm like, at first, originally we were thinking of Chamber of the Basilisk. And then people were like, our keyboardist Giselle was like, I don't think that she's like, I think people would think it's too obvious. She's like, so why don't we just go with Basilisk? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And so we went with Basilisk, and then it was just, all went from there basically. I just, that and I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so I always have been. So there are some things that I put in there, that I put in that I some sort of thing like that. It's sort of an homage to it in a sense with that name. Plus, it sounds metal, so.
Yeah, it does have a metal sound to it. When you see the word basilisk, your first instinct would probably be like, is that metal? Well, it should be. That's a badass name for a band, dude. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I would have never thought of something like that, but still, there's a lot of other names out there that are still badass like that one for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. It was a really interesting experience because when I had excuse me, when I had actually met them, actually I put in an ad on filmmusic.com and all these different things like that, and a lot of people were telling me, there's no way you're going to be able to find anybody that wants to do this kind of stuff, sort of like the symphonic, and sort of Norwegian style, esque black metal mayhem kind of different things, that you could do. And I'm like, no, there's going to be somebody there. And I had that post up for like maybe 4 or 5 months. And then I see this post. I get this response all of a sudden out of nowhere. And he's like, hey, this is exactly what I was trying to do. Or this guy, Mike. And he's like, this is exactly what I was trying to do. He's like, you know what we're gonna do? He's like, you're gonna be the bass player and the vocalist. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, yeah, I have some other people. He's like, come down here to Kazan City. He's like, well, we'll meet up at the McDonald's and stuff down there. He's like, I'll take over to my house here. We'll go and start like, kind of hashing stuff out, and I'll show you what I came up with. And it pretty much went from there. Because
That's
I originally started as the bass player and the singer, but then I kind of figured, I'm like, I want to kind of venture into the realm of, being the front man, the vocalist. And so eventually we got my friend to play bass,
Hey, that's awesome, dude. Sometimes it's hard to do two things at once, singing and also playing an instrument. Some people can pull it off while others can't, but then at the same
Hmm.
time, I'm glad you found your niche, man. That's so great. That's so great. How long did the band stick around?
Hmm.
Like, how long were you guys around for? Because I've known you for a while since Facebook.
Well, I mean, it was it was basically, what was it? At first, we were around for a little under a year, for a second, and then we decided to go on a hiatus for a little bit because what we had other bands and other projects that we were going on and all that, because our guitar player had another band called Tyranny of Solidity, and they were doing a whole bunch of, like, a whole slew of shows. And then I had another band called Soul Incinerator, which I was doing a lot of shows with them. And so we just kind of put it on a hiatus for a little bit. And then right around 2012, I think it was, right around there, G, or Giselle, our keyboardist, contacts me. She's like, dude, let's do this again. Let's start it back up. Let's try to go. Let's all systems go. Let's do it. So he basically listened to what she was going to do, and he let her, he's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. And then I said, okay, but this time I really really want to just jump up onto vocals. You know what I mean? And then I got a hold of my friend, who went by Jaggy at the time. He's now JR. But I was like, dude, I'm like, you're an amazing bass player. You're classically trained. Why don't you why don't you jump up on it? And he's like, yeah, I'm down, man. you know. So we went and did that, and then we came back, and then no more than maybe a month after we completely reformed and did a couple practices and whatnot, G hits me up. She's like, dude, I'm talking to the wife of a guy who like owns a record label. And I'm like, okay, what happened? She's like, I sent her one of our tracks. I'm like, it's a demo track. It sounds like crap. She's like, no, no, no. She just sent it to him right now. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. What the heck happened? 10 minutes later, she's like, he wants to meet with us this weekend. I was like, whoa, what? We go down there, and it was just like, yeah, I was like, what track? She's like, Upon Bleeding Thrones of Winter's Death. And I'm like, you sent that one? I'm like, why didn't you send Entering the Tombs? And she's like, no, he liked this one. I was like, okay. And then so we get on there and we started meeting with him. And it was just, I mean, I didn't know how to act, because I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm in here with a guy that owns a record label. I'm in this dude's house. How exactly do I carry myself in here? You know what I mean? Like, am I supposed to like bow to him, or am I supposed to be something like, oh my God, what is this? You know what I mean? And it was cool. He was actually in a band. I don't know if you guys have heard about a band called the Angina Pectoris. They were from Germany. They were under SPV for a while. This guy named Jolin Mingy, believe his name was, and he was
Not
yeah, he
familiar
was,
with that
so
one.
he'd been, what's that?
I'm
No.
not familiar
Okay.
with that one. So
That yeah, it's like, to me it sounded a little bit more like Ministry and like Nine Inch Nails, their stuff, but it was
like
sort of
industrial,
more
right?
industrial. Yeah. And but he was okay. I mean, he seemed like a pretty cool guy, and very, very goth and everything like that. And he was basically going over all the stuff with us and the stipulations of that, and we signed it about a month or two later, something like that, because still he was going over all that. He's like, we give you guys a little time to think about this, and talk about it. And we did it. And the funny part was, I want to point this out, our bass player, right? I presented the contract to him at one of the shows because his other band was playing that night. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, are you gonna sign it or what? He's like, yeah, because he told me to bring the contract with me. I'm like, okay, to the show. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so you're gonna sign it? He's like, yeah. And then he goes ahead and he grabs the chair from inside the venue, sits it in the middle of the street, and just signs the contract right in the middle of the street. I'm like, dude, you are metal as fuck, man. Like signs his record contract in the middle of the street, and all these cars going by. I'm like, you are metal as fuck, dude. Signs the contract right there. That was so cool, for me.
I totally dig it, man. Hey, Rhino, you want to throw some questions out there? What you got today, buddy?
Yeah, I have a couple on the fly. So, in
Okay.
your lyrics, you reference Basilisk, of course, Harry Potter reference. Are there any Harry Potter references in your lyrics?
No, just
No?
in the name. No, most
Okay,
most of my stuff was like, most of my stuff. There was like two or three. There was like, I had like multiple meanings for each one of my lyrics.
cool.
So Upon Bleeding Thrones of Winter's Death, was initially about the president at that time of the Philippines. And it was just one of those things of I didn't necessarily agree with how, some of his policies on it. And so I kind of masked it. I kind of like masked it to make it seem like it was some sort of like medieval Game of Thrones-ish kind of, situation, like carry his head on a stake upon the bleeding thrones of Winter's Death kind of thing. And then it was basically like a call out to all of that. You know what I mean? And then Entering the Tombs was also more about societal norms and different things like that, about like how if we keep following this certain path, if we keep doing these things or those things, we are entering the tombs. Like we're going to be entering early graves or something like that. So it's just kind of like winter brings death to those who can't believe in hate or greed. It's pretty much one of those things. And it's just that part was one of the things I wanted to kind of stick to it, like drive my point through, because winter to me meant, the society, and then, or like the governmental forms and everything like that were telling us like, without, holding us on their puppet strings kind of thing. And I was just kind of like, yeah, if you don't believe in hate or greed or anything like that, then all of a sudden maybe, then it's like they can't control you. It's kind of like my way of saying fuck you. You can't control us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Was that the president that was throwing people out of helicopters?
No, in the Philippines,
No.
no. That was Aquino. He was
Okay.
and this was before Duterte. You know?
Okay.
But the other band that I was in, Soul Incinerator, was a little bit more vocal about that kind of stuff. A little bit more vocal. Our vocalist and our guitar player were a lot more vocal about that kind of stuff. You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. You referenced McDonald's in the Philippines. What do they serve there?
Surprisingly, they'll serve like spaghetti, like this sweet spaghetti, like Filipinos have. It's a really, really good spaghetti, actually. There's even hot dogs in it in the sauce, which is really
Oh
cool.
well.
Yeah. They also serve like this chicken, like actual like fried chicken. Really cool. They have this thing called a Coke float, which is very similar to our root beer float. It's really good stuff. They have all it's like, it's like that a little bit. It's just because cultural differences in that, but it's really, really cool. Really, really good.
Awesome. Okay, one more on the fly. Okay, Harry Potter wise, what house are you going to put Al in?
What's that? Al? Oh,
Yeah, what
definitely
house?
Slytherin. Definitely Slytherin, dude. You know?
I don't know. He looks like more of a Hufflepuff.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, right, right.
It's actually funny because I actually never watched any Harry Potter movie all the way through, honestly.
No.
I only got halfway through the
To
first
me,
one and fell asleep.
oh,
Yeah,
no, but to
hate
me
first
though, I
bubbles, guys,
I always
but
found Professor. Hmm. To me
you
though,
know, you guys should
I always
try
found
to put
Professor.
some Harry Potter and some Pokemon movies or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but to me, I always found Professor Snape to be like probably one of the most metal characters I'd ever seen in my entire life. Yeah.
I can totally
Yeah,
understand that.
Oh yeah.
Great question,
He
Tom.
looked like Danzig as a wizard.
Right, kind of, yeah. Kind of, in a way. Except a little bit taller than Danzig, I do
Yeah.
believe.
Well, that's pretty common. All
All
right,
right.
fun one, and then I'll turn it back to Al. This one gets a little more crazy. All
Okay.
right, you get to bring one musician back from the dead. In exchange, you have to sacrifice a current musician. Who are you bringing back?
Hmm.
Who's coming
Peter
up? Who's
Steele.
going down?
Peter Steele.
All right, who's getting sacrificed?
Right now, honestly, I would love to see Chad Kroger.
Okay.
Nice choice. Nice choice.
What you got, Al?
Well, let's see here. Let's go back to the Soul Incinerator days, Colin. I want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
It's like a brutal death metal band. Is that basically what it was?
Hardcore.
Oh,
Metalcore.
hardcore. Hell yeah, dude. Hardcore is good shit.
Yeah.
Who were your
Yeah, it
influences when you were
was
in that band?
a lot of it was a lot of it there were well we were influenced by some beat down hardcore stuff, but also mostly our guitarist was more into like stuff like Heaven Shall Burn, like Parkway Drive, August Burns Red. He was basing a lot of the guitar lines off of that stuff. He he we had a riff that sounded similar to The Weapon They Fear. There was just a part in there that sounded so similar, so we changed up a couple notes on it, but it was very like it was very much like that. We had the really heavy breakdowns too, and very melodic kind of stuff too, sort of As I Lay Dying ish in a way too. But it was fun.
That's
Real
really
quick on that. Those they're definitely in the metalcore side. What were the hardcore influences?
Our core influences. I mean, we had stuff like what was it? Oh my god. I mean, on my side, I know like I like knowing like No Innocent Victims, Sworn Enemy, different things like that. That was always some of the things I tried to actually put on the table for them. Um, a lot of it there was even a lot of different bands that from the scene that we were all influenced by too, like Bad Burn. They're a very, very good hardcore band from out there, metalcore hardcore, very politically driven. There was Pile Driver that we were all really, really into as well.
Yeah.
So it's all these different things. Like our drummer would always wear like different shirts for like I think like Fast Pitch and a couple other bands like that were always out there. Peligro, oh my god, Sagrado, which is a brutal death metal band. That was some of our influences as well.
Nice.
yes. It's funny, Colin. We've got 10 minutes left in this meeting, actually 9.5, but we can still, come back after this segment is over. If you'd like to come back for part two, what we do is we take a break and we come back in 10 minutes
Okay.
and we can do a part 2 for you.
Cool.
But you brought up the band known as Sin Victim.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh.
remember that band so well. They were a Christian hardcore band.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them so well. I had their album No Compromise. That
Oh.
album was so awesome and so driven, where it,
Mm-hmm.
probably changed someone's way of thinking or feeling or whatever. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, it was up to that person if they really want to embrace that change. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
That album to me stood out to be one of the best albums I ever heard, other than a band called Strong Arm. There's
Mm-hmm.
one called what was it? Extol. They were a Christian metal band at one
Excellent.
point. And
Mm-hmm.
they're still together. Living Sacrifice is still doing stuff. Mortification's no longer around. Steve
Mm-hmm.
was too ill to do it. But
Society's finest. Mm-hmm.
I just figured I'd just throw that out there because No Innocent Victim to me was one of those bands that I haven't listened to in years, and I don't even know if they're
Mm-hmm.
still together or not.
Yeah, there was also like, I mean, Hatebreed was also part of that influence as well too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know personally for me, for my bass playing and whatnot, a lot of the early Hatebreed from like, Satisfaction's the Death of Desire kind of
that's a
thing
good
is where I
album.
like start. Oh yeah, that's where I started to fall in love with that hardcore sound. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. When I heard it, I was like, how can they come with such short songs but really, really heavy, heavy riffs like that? I'm like, my God, how the hell that happened? You know what I mean? And I remember
Well, you know
just
what they
seeing that,
say.
you know,
You know what
I just
people say,
remember,
Colin? Anything's possible these days, right?
oh yeah,
You got the power of the internet. You can transfer files and you can, you know, copy and paste them if you have to and duplicate
mhm,
tracks and pan them to wherever you want them to be and make it work for you.
definitely,
Al talking
definitely.
about his porn collection again.
Yeah, I
Oh.
think I think you're in the wrong attic there, Rhino. We might want to go clean out Dad's closet.
Oh my God.
Hey, I have skeletons in my closet.
Yeah, I
Oh,
see that.
great.
That's Roger, by the way.
Yeah.
That's Roger. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
we call him Roger Wilco.
Oh, okay. Roger Wilco. Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, man.
Brings me back to the Sierra days, Space Quest and King's Quest games.
Definitely. Definitely. Oh man. Uh,
Well, I can't think of anything else to ask. Do you have anything to ask real quick, Rhino, or did you want to wait till the next
Of
segment?
course.
All right,
Of
go for it.
course.
Go for it. Go.
Tell us about your first ever tour.
actually I had never gotten to go on tour, surprisingly. There were a couple
Oh,
tours. There were actually because with out there like a tour would be like out in the Philippines, a tour would be more like, if you do like a bunch of gigs in different parts of the provinces and stuff like that, because they don't necessarily have tour buses out there. It's like so you would just go and travel. But like, but in terms of that, yeah, tour, I'd never gotten the chance, unfortunately. I was in a band in San Diego years back called Rise to Mourn, and we had just done a show opening for Bang Tango, Faster Pussycat, and Adler's Appetite in a Masonic lodge in El Cajon, California.
oh wow.
And yeah, and I just got this and I got the call from our guitar player, was like, dude, we're gonna be doing a huge US Canada tour. Okay. As I'm preparing for it, I had all my gear, everything. I'm ready to go. I've got everything just, all polished up and ready to go, and everything's all set perfectly. And I get a call from my mother, who told me that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh,
So I had a choice. I'm just kind of like,
yeah.
damn it. And I told the guys, I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm like, I got to be there with my mom. I'm like, my sister's out here living in California. She's got this full-time job that she needs to do and everything like that. I'm like, I got to be there to drive her to her stuff. I got to do all this. I got to be there with her until she gets better. And so it was a missed opportunity. I mean, but they understood that. They're like, well, you gotta go take care of your mother. You gotta go be there for your mom. And then I ended up coming back to California a few years later. After that, wasn't able to get into any kind of bands. Really, I was in one for a little bit, but just I couldn't put my heart into it. You know what I mean? It wasn't what I wanted. You know what I mean? And then it was just like it wasn't what I wanted. I liked the music; it was nice, it was killer, but I just was like, I'm like, no, I can't see myself being part of this. And so it's kind of like until I got to the Philippines and obviously met the guys in Basilisk and girl in Basilisk, and of course, and then of course the guys in Soul Incinerator. But that was, I mean, if you want to talk about like a tour kind of thing, we did, I guess, a couple of different dates in different provinces there. Like in Rizal, we did a show at this subdivision that they were building. Like they'd already built it, sort of. They still had some of the houses. You could still see some of them were like, you know, up on the blocks and building all the concrete and foundations. And it turns out that our drummer knew the manager for this band called Kamikaze. She used to be a former manager of the band Kamikaze.
Oh wow!
And she personally asked us, Soul Incinerator, to come out there. And I was like, how'd you get that? He's like, they're like Long, which was our drummer's which was our drummer's nickname. Our guitar player Roman is like, dude, he's like, dude, like he knew, like he knew her or something. I'm like, okay. And then she's like, yeah, she asked if if we want to come out and do it. And we went out and did it. That was cool. They you know, I mean, they didn't really have much to pay us or anything like that. So they just gave us like some food, like some this like Jollibee chicken joy or something like that, which was really cool. So I was like, cool, man. I'm like, I'll do it for food, man. Heck yeah. And we were you know, and we got to play in this little big rotunda. There was this rotunda with like I want to say there was a fucking fountain behind us, but I'm not sure. But there was like this big rotunda thing, and all the people that were there, like all the workers and stuff that were in the office, they were all out there in the crowd, and all the people that were like moving in are all right there in the crowd. And I was just like, wow, this is like the most interesting show I've ever played in my life. I'm like, there's even little kids there and they're getting into it, and I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. You know?
Oh hell yes, hell yes.
Yeah. And then we did another show. I can't remember the name of the actual because they changed the name of the venue after we played it. But it was this but it was in also in Rizal province, but in Cainta. And they were the stage was huge. It was really huge. But then the only thing was, you know, this is one of those things where they were backlining the equipment. You know, they were backlining everything. And wouldn't you know it, me being the bass player, they give me the crappiest amp.
Hold your thought. Hold your thought. So we got 2 minutes.
Okay. And I get in there and I'm just like, I'm starting to play it. I'm like, why do I keep hearing it? Why do I keep hearing like the speaker's blown? I'm like, the speaker sounds blown. And I'm sitting here just like trying to tweak it. And I'm like, this damn thing's blown. I'm like, I want to freaking beat the crap out of this thing. You know what I mean? And so I was like, they were wondering why it was taking me so long to actually, you know, to actually tune up and get everything. I'm like, no, I'm already tuned. I'm like, I just can't get this thing to sound right. And my buddy,
yeah, they could at least they could unhook the one bad speaker in the cabinet, even two. Just go with the ones that aren't blown.
No, it was actually one of those little
90
small
seconds left.
Okay.
Yeah, like one of those little combo ones that they gave
us.
Gotcha. And thankfully my buddy Noriel was able to help me figure it out, you know, to get it where it sounded at least a little bit decent. You know what I mean? But that whole show, I mean, you can see the pictures that I'm into it, but then it's like, but the whole time I'm just kind of like in my mind I'm all pissed off because I'm like, man, this fucking amp is fucking horrible. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn it, I'm like pissed off so bad, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take it out here on the on the stage. I'm gonna take it out in here. Oh man, but it was nice. It was a fun show.
Back once again. Hey, Colin, I got a question for you. What was the first CD that you ever purchased?
Ooh, you know, it's gonna be funny. The Spin Doctors.
Little Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember that song so vividly and bizarrely. I don't know why.
I was like
nuts.
I was like 8 years old or something like that. You know, just getting into like music. You know, I was just like, it just happened to be one of those ones that like my mom had ordered off of those. You know, remember those magazines where you could like order like all this stuff like for like however much money, and I was just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, like the House or BMG Music.
Yeah, something like that. And then the actual one that I actually purchased with like my own allowance money, I'd have to say, well, at least I gave my mom that money, would have been Vulgar Display of Power.
Oh,
yeah. Which was like probably one of the heaviest Pantera albums I've ever heard. You know?
It changed the game.
Oh yeah, it did. I'm just Dime's tone in general was just, oh man. You know?
Oh, only got to see him once, but
unmatched.
Not this Zach Terra thing.
No, no, no.
Or
And I
Phil
mean,
Terra?
yep, even Vinnie Paul said that before he passed away. He's like, there's no way that Pantera could ever, he's like, Dime's not here, you know.
Yep.
Yep, now it's known as Pan-Terrible. How's that for a reference? Shit, that's
Yep.
good.
Vinny actually tried out for Megadeth, and they said okay, and Vinny said okay, but my brother's coming with me, and they said no. So
Yeah.
that was that. Made the right choice.
There you go. Well, yeah, and of course I know that Dime was like probably the biggest Van Halen fan you'd ever meet.
Yes.
Big time. Big time.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this, Colin.
What's up?
Okay, if you could meet any famous musician, all right, before they pass away, who would it be? Like, name the first one that comes to your mind.
Peter Steele.
I didn't say dead. I'm meaning alive.
Oh, alive?
One that before they pass away.
Like now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Fred Durst.
As much as I would say, like Les Claypool.
Les Claypool, he's a badass on bass.
He is, and that's actually he's probably the very first influence that I ever had playing bass for that. Him and Cliff Burton, rest in peace. But you know what I mean. It was just one of those. Well, that's the reason I used this. That's the reason I use distortion too, is because Cliff and Peter, of course, and then a lot of the reason why I play this really, really weird slappy style on bass and like doing a lot of like thumb and plucks and all that stuff and this weird just sort of funk weird kind of style on bass, even in metal, is heavily influenced by Les Claypool.
Well, I have to ask you this as well about Pantera. Was Pantera the first band that introduced you to metal music, or was it other bands than that?
No, it was my friend and I. We were about 6 years old, as a matter of fact, and the ones that introduced me actually not necessarily to metal, but to rock in general. Guns N' Roses' "Appetite for Destruction."
Excellent fucking album. That's their best album.
Because it was actually because he was into that music even way before I was, right? And we would his old apartment that he lived in a little small town in Michigan, Stockbridge. I went over to his house, a couple times, and vice versa. He'd come over to my house, and he had this little Coca-Cola radio. It was like a little boombox thing with a little tape deck on top of it. This little Coca-Cola thing, and he's like, "Dude, I gotta show you something." I'm like, "What?" And we start listening to like Appetite for Destruction, and then I remember the very first time I ever heard Pantera. I'd heard the name, right, and I knew that there was a song called "Cemetery Gates," but I'd never heard it. And then all of a sudden, it starts playing on the radio, and then I remember looking over at him. I'm like, and this, like I said, this is the first time I'd ever heard it. I'm like, "This is Pantera, Cemetery Gates." And he looks over at me, his eyes are wide, like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" He's like, "This is the first time I've ever heard it." I'm like, "I know." I'm like, so that to me pretty much signaled that, yeah, you're going to be a metalhead for the rest of your life. Because I knew that even before I heard it. You know what I mean?
That's just so, dude. That's so
damn. That, and we also listened to the Black Album religiously too.
Right on. What you got, Rhino?
What's that?
Well, let's see. I love asking this question. I'll cut that out. Get a lot of different answers to this question. Do you have any? Have you had any paranormal experiences?
You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope so.
So the house we were living in the Philippines, Project 8, my mom's childhood home. There was all kinds of crazy shit happening there. Because well, there's this in Philippine folklore. There was this thing like they're called duendes, which are basically dwarves, right? They believe in this, and I guess that there had been like a white dwarf and a black that had lived in the house there, or like lived near there supposedly. Whatever the tree that they were living in had been cut down, and the white one or something. To my knowledge, I'm not sure. My cousins will probably correct me on that. But what happened is that the white one had died. The black one was more mischievous. And so what happened was there was all kinds of weird shit that started happening. So, for instance, just random things. And then from my experience, when I first moved in there, I would be sleeping in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden, nobody's in the room with me, and all of a sudden I'd hear the air conditioner get really, 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 really loud all of a sudden, and I keep hearing this weird whispering in my voice, in my ears. People things saying my name, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And there's nobody in here. I keep hearing all this stuff, and I'm having conversations with this thing. I'm like, what do you want? What the fuck do you want? Just keep saying all this stuff. And then I used to do a online radio show for metalmessiahradio.com, and I was DJ Nocturnus. But anyway, my mom had asked me if I wanted to go with her to Antipolo Rizal in the middle of the night. I'm like, at 1 o'clock in the morning, why? Because I was getting stuff ready for my next show. And she was like, she looks at me. I'm alone in my room. She's like, oh, she's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And she's like, no. She's like, I'm saying hi to the person behind you. Who's in there with you? I'm like, there's nobody in here with me. And she's like, no, there's somebody right there. She's like, I just said hi to them. They waved back at me. I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? And then when my wife had moved back to the Philippines, she'd been in Norway for a couple of years. We were going out for breakfast, and then all of a sudden I stopped her, and I'm like, she's like, what? I'm like, I saw this thing. It looked like it had like this weird like these black raggy looking clothes on, like this weird raggedy wiry hair and everything like that. I looked over. I'm like, stop for a second. She's like, what? I'm like, did you just see that? She's like, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, you didn't see that. She's like, no. And it turns out it was that dwarf.
Wow.
Then I saw it, but like it was just there for a split second, like we rounded the corner and then just disappeared over by the bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah. I was
That's
like,
gnarly as hell, dude.
I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And then my wife even told me one time, right after we moved out of that house, after my mother had died, we there was something we were supposed to get. I can't remember quite what it was. It was something that my aunt or somebody was asking for. We had to get something, and she went in, just to get in really quick. And then there's nobody in the house, and she heard she heard like the sound of a woman screaming, and nobody's in the house. She ran out as quickly as possible. And then the people that we sold the house to, apparently, they were going to try to make it into like some sort of a business or something like that. And I guess that they sold it. They had a groundskeeper there, and it was like maybe 10-15 minutes after he got there, just settling in, he heard that same thing, screaming and things rattling all over the place. He went out there and he's like, no. He called him up. He's like, I'm not going back in there ever again. And then I checked on Google Maps that property was for sale again.
Nice.
Wow.
It's insane. I'm not going in. Yep. It
Nice.
was, and one of my friends he even told me too that he could feel that there was a presence in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, he could feel that there were some presences in there. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's all kinds of crazy things in here. I'm like, you get used to it after a while, but it's just kind of like, well, it was an experience. And I think that's what kind of influenced like some of the heavier, darker stuff that I started to write.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Sometimes those things will do that.
Yeah.
Just a quick one, then I'll turn it back to Al. Would you sacrifice Lars to bring back Cliff?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Same. Now this one's obvious. Sacrifice Yoko Ono, bring back Lennon.
Oh God, Yoko's gone.
Good.
Yoko's gone to bring back John, man. Come on now.
Yeah. I'd sacrifice her without anything in exchange.
Oh, there you go. No, actually, and the cool part about it is, that Sean Lennon had actually collaborated with Soulfly at one time too. I think him and Max.
During the primitive years.
Mm-hmm. And then also, him and Les Claypool have a thing going on, the Claypool Lennon Delirium. Amazing.
I have not listened to that yet.
Oh man, it's amazing. It's probably one of the most amazing things I've ever heard. I'm like, dude, you got a Lennon and you got John Lennon's son and Les Claypool. I'm like on one album. That's so crazy.
You're gonna have to send me a link for that because I'm gonna have to check that shit out.
Oh man, Claypool Lennon Delirium. Oh my God, it's so crazy.
The only problem with me is when I usually tell people I'm gonna check stuff out, sometimes I don't. Well, yeah. 80% of the time I don't. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
you forget.
Yeah, I do forget. Memory loss is like that sometimes.
Definitely.
Unintentionally. So here's a question for Rhino. Rhino, you got something white right here on your lip. I'm serious, you do, man. You might want to fix that. It's on the other side.
Oh,
Yep, I think you got it.
it's my liquid IV powder
Oh,
for the.
well, I was gonna ask you how did Fred's dick taste last night?
Jesus.
Um, yeah,
Had to throw that out there at you because you're always
yeah.
busting big chops about dissing on fucking Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit. But guess what? I'm not gonna diss on Fred no more. So guess what? I don't give a fuck. If people hate me. Let them. Fuck you too. Anyway,
It's all he said, she said bullshit.
yeah, whatever. whatever, whatever floats your poop in the morning. Don't lose your drink, bro. Shit, that's funny.
It's a good cardio mix song wise.
Okay, well, if it makes you feel good, go for it then. Whatever.
Makes me feel special.
Okay. Good for you. Good for you. Not for me. Hey, Colin, I got another question for you. Was bass the first instrument that you picked up playing, or did you learn how to play something before that? And also, do you like to experiment with other instruments?
Yeah, guitar was the first one I tried to do. I mean, emphasis on tried. You know, I took some guitar lessons from some dude named Chris Robinson. He was the one that all the kids in my town like ended up going to guitar lessons for because he was in this little old shop. There was like a little mom and pop guitar shop just in the back room. And actually, the first song I ever learned on guitar ever was Thunder Kiss 65.
Badass. That's a
Yep.
good song.
And then that was one of the ones he taught because he had like all these guitar player magazines. And then he was gonna I know the last lesson he was gonna try to teach me Sepultura, but then after that he kind of left, just disappeared. Nobody else knew where else he was. But then of course everybody wanted to play that fucking song Machine Head by Bush, and
Oh,
and then
Ugh.
everybody was like
Anyways.
I come in there and the person behind me is da 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 da. I'm like, oh my I'm like Jesus Christ. I'm like, can we play something else? You know what I mean?
mhm.
And then it was I learned the intro to Fade to Black on guitar as well. And then then after that it's just like I tried to play guitar for years and then I just couldn't get it. My fingers are way too fat for that. You know what I mean? And then
Damn.
and then I transitioned over into bass around 99 when I was about 15 years old. I went to my friend's house. He had this purple and white PV foundation sitting on his couch, and I remember him looking at me, and I'm like, dude, why you give me that weird gay look? What are you looking like that for? And he's just kind of doing this, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like, pick up that bass right there. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I don't even know how to play the damn thing. He's like, you don't know how to play guitar either, so so there's no fucking difference in it. I was just like, okay, fine. And then
What
he's
an
like,
insult.
right. And
Damn.
he's like, just pick it up, man. He's like, I want to try something. I'm like, okay. I pick it up. He hooks it up into this little like old Music Man tube amp that he had from his stepdad. And then I go and I start playing this thing, and all of a sudden immediately it just felt like I knew it. Like I picked it up and I was just immediately like starting to do like these weird scales and stuff like that. Like, and I'd never even touched a bass in my life at that point.
So it's pretty natural to you.
It was natural. And he looks at me and he's just like, he's nodding like this. And I'm like, what? He's like, see? He's like, I've known it all along, man. I'm like, well, then I'm like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, I wanted you to figure it out on your own. He's like, I want you to figure out that you were a bass player all along. And I'm like, okay, is it a good thing or a bad thing? And he's just like, no, that's good, man. He's like, dude, you figured that out. You just picked that up and started playing these weird things like right away. He's like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, because it just felt it felt so different than when I picked up the guitar. Because when I picked up the guitar, I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? But then like picked up the bass and immediately I just like it didn't even think about it. I just started going. You know what I mean? I just started going on it.
I have to ask you this though, Colin. When you would play bass, would you use a pick or would you use your fingers?
It depends on which bass I'm using.
Okay. Do you happen to have one nearby?
because well, no, it's in my son's room. He's sleeping. But
Oh, okay.
huh?
No worries, because this is don't show me your axe. In other words, we usually have a segment called "Show Me Your Axe," where we have musicians show off their, instruments. And
I mean, I do have a I do have a picture of my very first bass. It's on my Facebook page. It's got like this. It's this old like Hawaii bass. I can go get it really quick if you want.
Well, up to you if you'd like.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I'll be right back.
So it is "Show Me Your Axe." I take
Yep.
that back.
I'll be right back.
This is going to be show me a picture of your axe.
Something like that, yeah.
Send nudes.
Holy crap, man! This is good. This is really good. This is really, really fucking good. I had to pull that one out on you, man. That was funny. You have to admit. Did you spill your drink? Did I make
What?
Did I make you spill your drink from laughing?
No.
Oh, I thought
No.
I didn't.
No, I just always chug.
Mm-hmm. Like
this is two drinks. Yeah, this is 2 drinks. Yeah.
I can see why they call you Rhino. You chug your water and you chug your beer like it's nothing.
Hot dad rolling in on a Rhino. I hope you know I'm like a chainsaw.
I understand that. Oh,
this is the very first one that I ever got.
You snuck into your son's room.
Yep.
Smart man. Hey, it's a
this is actually
sticker. Cool.
Yep, this is actually the very the story behind this one is that my dad had been living in San Diego, and it goes back to that purple bass that I'd first played. Was that I was about to go on spring break. I was in 8th grade, and my dad was going to give me $150 to get that bass, and then he's like, oh well, my landlord has guitars and has a guitar or something like that. Maybe you can ask him if you can see it, or maybe he might let you, because I was sort of I wouldn't necessarily call it a band really. And that time we were just like a bunch of kids that just like to mess around with our instruments on the weekend, but they wanted me to play bass. And then and then he's like maybe you can practice a little bit or something like that, or get used to that, whatever that is. I'm like, okay. And then they didn't know, my dad didn't know the difference between a bass and a guitar or anything like that. And so we go to his landlord's office, the apartment, we're hanging out, and then he's like, yeah, I do have a guitar. And I'm like, okay. They pulled us out of the closet, and I noticed because there was an elongated neck in the case. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, there's a bass in that. I'm like, I guarantee it. They pull this thing out, this thing's all completely just glossy black. And then I was like, dude, that's beautiful. And then his landlord, Jerry, was just like, I don't play this thing very much anymore. He's like, I've only brought it up to my brother's house a couple of times. He's like, just to kind of mess around with it. He's like, I don't really know how to play this. I don't really have any interest in it. He's like, you said that you said you're in bands and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I'm trying to start one. He's like, okay. He said, I'm gonna let you have it.
Wow.
And then he was like, okay. And then he said, just remember one thing. He's like, when you're rich and famous and all that stuff, he's like, just don't forget us. Like, wow, okay. Cool.
I've heard people say that before too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then but then this is the one that I remember when I moved back to San Diego when I moved to San Diego in like 2003. This is the bass that started to get me some crowds. What I mean by that is I would do open mic nights.
God damn.
I would do open mic nights at Lestat's Coffee House on Adams Avenue in San Diego. And I befriended the sound guy. And this is after I graduated around 18, 19 years old. And he basically would listen to how I was playing this stuff, because I was the only person that would go to those open mic nights with a bass and an overdrive pedal. And that was it. And people were, and some people were like, well, what the hell's this guy doing? Right. And I get up there, and I remember just hitting an open note, and the whole thing is just like boom, resonated throughout the whole thing. And they're like, what the hell is going on? And instead of doing like actual screams like people were thinking I was going to do, I was just doing like full on spoken word stuff with like these really, really heavy, sludgy riffs on it. And then I remember what he started to do for me, and this was even in my first performance. He starts putting like a reverb and delay on the microphone to make it sound like all weird and like crazy, creepy sounding. And he continued to do that every single set that I would play. And I
Nice.
remember the last time I played a set there for an open mic night, it was something to the effect of what was it? He I couldn't see it because the lights obviously were all right here. So I could see the people up in the front, but I couldn't see what was further back. And it turns out when I got done with my set, I come outside, I've got everything, just I got my stuff packed up and carrying my case. And my friend Jeremy's like, dude, he's like, do you know how many people just saw you do this? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there were a bunch of people walking down the street here. They were just going to the bar down the road, but he's like, but they all stopped and saw you. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, no, like this whole place was packed all the way. Nobody, like all standing room only. People were looking through the windows. I was like, why? He's
Damn.
like, you could hear that shit across the street. And I'm like, what? He's like, dude, people were like, what the fuck is that? And they said they saw you up there playing a bass with distortion and your voice is like resonating and doing all that stuff. I was like, holy crap, I didn't even realize that, And
Too
so
cool.
I became kind of known as the bass guy for some local open mic nights in San Diego for a little while. I decided to take it over to a different venue, this place called Hot Monkey Love, which was the actual name of this place. It was actually the name of this coffee house one time. And the sound guy was kind of sort of mocking me a little bit because he noticed that I had a bass with me. And he's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, believe me, dude. I'm like, I can do it. I'm like, I can do this. Don't worry. And then I told him, I'm like, only one thing. Can you put some reverb and delay on the vocal mic? He looks at me and he's like, okay. He's like, how much? I'm like 300. I'm like 500 milliseconds. He's like, oh, so not too much. I'm like, not too much. And then he does it as soon as I'm doing it. And then I start hitting those open notes. And again, same thing happened. I like didn't realize that there's people like outside were coming in. They're like, what? And I was like, holy crap, what the hell is this? I'm like, am I onto something? And so that kind of encouraged me to keep using distortion effects on bass, because then by this time I had a synthesizer pedal as well. So I was hooking up like this weird synth and a overdrive together. So it sounded really like this weird, crazy sound. It was so weird, that I would do that. And then I was even doing like trying to do like little like solos and stuff like that on bass, which was hard to do, but I did it. So that was, that's kind of the story behind this one. This is the one that got me started, so to speak. So that's why it's got very sentimental value to me. I've had it since I was 15 years old. So
I like the way that you decorated that. You did a nice job with that. So
thank you.
with my laptop, I put band stickers on it and stuff like that.
Well, this is like got a bunch of random stuff too. Like this one right here, this sticker was given to me by a guy at Lestat's. It says the end is extremely fucking nigh.
That's a unique one.
Yep, I remember that stuff. I was like, man, I got to put that right there where it's prominent, where people can just see that the end is extremely fucking nigh. And it was just like that's why I wanted to put that in there because I was just like, man, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, Rhino, you got any more questions for Colin?
Well, first I want to reference going back to the purple guitar. That story. I don't know if you ever saw the episode of South Park where Cartman decides to form a Christian band.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he tells Tolkien, he's like, go get the bass from your basement. He's like, I don't have a bass. He's like, yes, you do. So Tolkien's like, God damn it. He brings the bass and he's like, Tolkien, give me a bass line. He's like, I don't know how to play this. It's like, just play it. Bump, 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 but I'm shut it out the gate.
Yep, I've heard about that one. Yep, I think a friend told me about that. Yeah, he told me about the whole thing. He just starts playing bass. I'm like, I'm thinking, wow, dude, that's awesome as fuck, though.
Cartman loses it. He loses it. Cartman loses it because he thought he had a platinum record, but the Christian awards were only gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Oh, man.
He lost the bet.
What? That's so messed up, dude. That's totally messed up.
But no, that's all I have at the moment.
That's funny though. That's funny. I can't deny that.
He likes big butts. He can't deny it.
Yeah, you can't even hide it.
No.
Yeah.
What else you got, Rhino?
I don't at the moment. My brain's in a fog. Old
Okay.
age. Um,
I feel that. I've got actually
Well, I
right here.
guess
I'm
we
not
could
sure if you guys
ask
can see
the
it.
final two questions if you
All right.
want.
Well, I'm actually I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but like right here, all the way down, got into it. Had a really bad head injury. 2013, which is actually what sort of derailed my music career for a while.
Ooh, what exactly happened? Can you give
I
us a
was
summary?
no, I was in university. I wish I could say look at the other guy, but no, I can't say that. But it was what happened was I was actually on my because I was attending college as well, back there finishing some college classes, and we were supposed to do like a student film kind of thing for one of our classes. And I remember our professor was sick, so she couldn't show up that day. So one of my classmates came up and just said, "Hey, sign this thing. You're gonna get a pass for the day." Okay. And I remember walking out the back gate. The guard was a huge Megadeth fan, and I asked him if they had just released Super Collider a couple days before, or like about a month or so before. And I'm like, "Have you heard it yet?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Dude, check it out." And I remember, knuckle chucking with him, and then I don't remember anything else after that.
Eek.
Yeah, because what happened was, apparently, according to some eyewitnesses, they have these things called tricycles, which is like obviously the motorcycle with like sidecar on the side of it.
Right.
And I, from what somebody said I got thrown off of it, and then another person said that I got off of it and then passed out. So I don't quite know what's actually happening, but either way, I was found on the street kind of like this, like convulsing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Well, like a
and so that kind of derailed everything because what happened was it turns out that the skull flap on my head here, there was like my brain was swelling so much that the skull flap had busted, and it was so my doctor had to go ahead and remove it, right away. Otherwise, I would have been in a vegetative state, what I mean, for the rest of my life, which I didn't want to be, And although I do remember waking up partially, and seeing all these people in like these weird masks and suits and everything like that, and thinking to myself, because I think I was so heavily sedated on some of that stuff. I'm like, dude, they're turning me into fucking Wolverine.
Oh, shit.
Because I was a big X-Men fan. And I'm like, dude, they're fucking turning me into Wolverine. Fuck yeah, dude. And then all of a sudden, I wake up. Next thing I remember waking up, and there's my bass player from Basilisk sitting next to me. And I look over, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, you were the
10
ugliest person
minutes.
to wake up to, bro. I'm seriously telling him, I'm like, dude, you were the ugliest motherfucker in the world to wake up to. He's like, yeah, we love you too, man.
Well, Colin, it's a miracle that you're still here with us, so I'm glad you could talk about
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. And it's, well, I mean, I'm glad that I'm here, man. I gotta still be here to play the fucking best music in the world, man. Come on now.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
You gotta keep on going. Can't give up now. Just
Mhm.
keep going. Always move
Definitely.
forward, never go straight.
Right. There you go. Well, actually, no,
Well,
with
I
the
got a couple more questions here, real quick, Colin, because
go
we
ahead.
only got a few minutes left.
Go ahead.
What would you like to say to your fans that might be listening, or people that know you in the Philippines? What would you like to say to them if they're checking out this video?
Thank you guys very much for all the love that you guys gave for all that. I mean, and I'm glad that I was able to help all of you guys, even indirectly when I was under Metal Messiah Radio. I miss those guys too. You know what I mean? But I'm glad I was able to do all of that again. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity, and you too as well, Al and Rhino. For giving me this opportunity to do this. And I really just I'm really really grateful that I got to experience all of that stuff. That I got to do all of that because I never ever in a million years would have thought that would have happened. You know what I mean? And so, thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody, you know what I mean? Because I just never thought that I'd ever get that chance to do that again. You know what I mean? And because at the time I was seriously about ready to give up music, I couldn't join any bands or anything like that. Nobody seemed to want to do the things that I wanted. And when I finally, when I got my in with Basilisk and then Soul Incinerator, everything kept going on and on and on. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, okay, so this is my sign. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this. And so, and I'm just fortunate. I'm grateful for that, and thank you to everybody, that's ever associated with me, put up with my annoying tone junkiness. You know what I mean? me taking forever to freaking dial in my tone on, live. I thank you guys very much for, putting up with that live, and me throwing my bass around like a baseball bat, on stage, and if I've hit any of you guys on stage, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was nothing personal.
Player, swing.
Yeah. Real quick. Do you have any advice for Roger?
Well, for Roger. Yep. You might want to eat a little bit, dude. You look a little pale, bro.
Me or Roger?
Yeah.
Well, you said Roger.
Yeah,
I named him Roger because there was this guy when I was like 17 running his mouth, and I finally caught him and he stabbed me.
Oh,
so that's why it's Roger.
Roger. Oh man.
Last name Wilco. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
All right, Colin. Do you have any final words for Underground Noise Webzine?
All I have to say, really, guys, is just stay metal. Never ever give up. Never ever give up on what you want. You know what I mean? Even if you don't get it into like the big major labels or anything like that, or anything like, always keep doing it, in some form, in some way. You know what I mean? I kept doing it, even though I haven't played live in a long time, I still keep on doing it. I just record random shit, that you guys can do that. If you guys love it, just keep on doing it, man. It doesn't matter if it's for like 1 million people or one person, at least somebody's there to listen to it.
Exactly.
Stay musically metal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at this point, I have a bunch of metal in my back, so it's not the kind of stay metal that so musically.
No, I mean, I've got a titanium mesh plate in my head, so I'm definitely a metalhead legit. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes,
Colin,
that's true.
Thanks for giving us a portion of your time today. It's been a blast talking with you.
Definitely, thank you guys so much for all of this. It was definitely an honor coming up here and talking with you guys, and definitely something I'm very grateful for.
Yeah,
our pleasure.
Yeah, most definitely, man. You're a very passionate dude. You give great advice, and you're fucking awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.
Hey, you got it, brother.
All right.